Mama We're All Crazy Now from 1972. It's the Steve Show, BBC6 Music, and yeah, it's hearing me here in the studio. I don't know what's going on. It's too mellow. It's too mellow for me. We've got the lights very low, and if we switch on the overheads, it's too bright. I don't know what to do. I'm stuck right in the middle there. And as Harry's pointed out, it feels like we've got it on Bob Harris setting. What we really need is on Queen's of Noise or Chris Moyle setting. We haven't. I don't know how to find that. I haven't got the keys to the code. But yeah. Plus, then Rufus was slamming Slade. Felt that he didn't like their singing. I mean, goodness me, how square can you get if Slade are too rock and roll for you? Ooh, their voices, can't they sing properly? It's no Maria Callas. So I've been thrown. I thought that would be a party favourite to get the show started, but already you've been disrespecting it.
They just started sliding towards the end a little bit. I've got nothing against the Brummie accent, nothing at all.
No,
nothing.
well, I imagine you can do it impeccably.
Well, reasonably well, but not flawless, but not bad, you know.
Sure.
But no, but that got it's sticking in my craw at the end.
Brilliant.
Oh, come on, Ruth. They did a good 3 minutes.
They did, yeah. They knocked out 3 good minutes.
So listen, we've heard from Rufus there, super posh. Let's just remind ourselves of Harry.
Hello.
You, of course, are formerly from Brum.
Absolutely.
What was your verdict on that accent?
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
Can you give us yours?
Not really, no.
Okay.
I had it beaten out of me when I was 10 years old.
Yeah, it's good. Well, when you moved to Bristol.
Yeah.
I should point out to newcomers to the show that I went to school with Harry. In fact, it's strange that none of the ribald stories from our past have filtered their way onto the show.
We were quite dull.
We were very dull. I don't think there are any ribald stories whatsoever. Certainly not involving us.
No.
Just things we heard from afar involving naughtiness. And of course the lovely Sammy, who's also northern.
Hello.
And how are you doing?
I'm alright. I'm a little bit gummy. My tooth was viciously pulled out on Monday.
It was last Monday.
Yeah.
You're still gummy, almost a week later.
I've got my tongue in a hole now.
Got your tongue in a hole?
Yeah. It's still a little bit open, so I'm not happy.
Okay.
I'll get there.
Are you going to be okay? Are you going to fight
Don't
through
need to
it?
worry for me. It's
No?
okay.
All
I'll
right,
get
because
there.
I need you to be 110%.
I'm there.
Are you? Great,
Yeah.
that was nice, that was powerful. Good, well, we've introduced a gang, obviously Crazy Jude behind the controls, and we'll come on to some of the things we want to talk about and play music we play and stuff after we've heard from a new band, The Ads. I've had time this week to pour through all the endless new music that's being sent to me, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of new music coming out of Glasgow at the moment. Obviously, you know, when you got problems, as they have in Glasgow, a lot of crime, a lot of drugs. Obviously, a lot of people turning to guitar music as a way out of the gutter. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of cracking stuff, including that forthcoming single from The Ads called Maybe Tonight, which is out on the 3rd of December. And yeah, I've never been to Glasgow. I've obviously, a lot of what I've just said, I've got through hearsay and reading
Taggart.
the Daily Mail. Yeah, and Taggart. Exactly. Do you think that, like Taggart, when I decide to give up this show, go on and do something more interesting, will you continue it without me? It'll still be called The Steve Show, and you'll refer to me occasionally as they did with Taggart. Famously, Taggart, of course, the man who played him died, and for some reason, bizarrely, they carried on, which has endlessly confused me. As a young kid, I didn't understand. But would you be continuing the show?
Well, you know, I think we could do it quite happily, but I'm looking at Jude. She's looking a little bit nervous at the thought of it.
A lot of Steve Show fans are saying that the show is bigger than you now, Steve.
Are they? I don't think I've heard a single Steve Show. Well, firstly, I've never heard from a Steve Show fan, but certainly I can't imagine that's the case.
Well, you know, Facebook's alive with this sort of controversy.
You're such a shameless
Why have you brought up
self-promoter.
Facebook?
I don't know. Just saying, you know, if the show, if you were to, you know, throw in the microphone stand after, you know, a year or so, a couple of years.
Yeah, just announce on air, sort of DLT or Bates or whoever it was.
Could be that. Could be a mutiny. I don't know.
Sure,
One or the other.
Okay, all right.
You know, the show's got legs.
But why might... Well, I mean, firstly, why do you bring up Facebook? But what, I mean, it seems a strange thing to mention. You know, I'm not particularly familiar with...
of nothing.
Well, exactly. I'm not particularly familiar with Facebook. I don't use Facebook. Why would you mention it?
Yeah, well, in fact, I listen to new music constantly, Steve, as you know. MySpace and Facebook are the two best places to get...
to source new music.
Two of the best.
Ruth, didn't you encourage a friend of yours to set up a fan group for you on Facebook?
That's untrue. That's untrue.
Yeah, but is it?
Okay, so let's just get to the bottom of this, because I have been notified through various sources that there is apparently some kind of super posh Rufus fan site on MySpace.
Yeah, this has happened.
Facebook, sorry, I could get the two confused. I've investigated it.
Have you?
I looked at it. I was pleased to see no, I haven't joined, because I don't actually use it. I was just looking here. It says you have great verbal dexterity. And this is what I thought was... I thought this summed you up brilliantly. A real Catholicism of taste in everything. a real Catholicism of taste, which I dare to, I mean, I don't want to put words
Yeah.
into their mouth. I suspect. Does that mean conservative?
I don't know.
Does that mean that you're conservative in taste?
I'm
A
not
show that's as rock and roll as this,
Yeah.
a station that's as rock and roll and is
Yeah.
obsessed with newness
Yeah.
in all its forms,
Yeah.
that someone like you, dare I say it, a square, and I'm citing your own fans there, not
He's up to 20 members.
20 members. So,
hang on, 21, 22. People are joining as we speak.
are they?
I don't know,
Are
yeah.
they
Clearly
logging on?
not.
23.
Harry, can you give information? Should people wish to become a fan of Super Posh Rufus, how would they do it?
Well, if you're young and impressionable and you use Facebook, it's a group called Super Posh Rufus of Stephen Merchant's Six Music radio show fame fan club. But if you just type Super Posh Rufus and search, you'll find his wizened features on there.
Yeah. This was nothing to do with me. This was not my idea. I didn't know anything about it until my friend Elliot asked me to join.
Right.
And I said, no, it'd be a bit like clapping at your own curtain call or speaking at your own funeral.
Of having seen you in a play, I know you do both. Not speaking at your own funeral, I've never seen
No.
that. No. But how do we know that the people on there aren't friends of yours? How do we know they're complete? It only counts, surely, if they're complete strangers.
Absolutely. I know a few of them.
So you do know
I
a
can see
few
my
of them.
fiancée on there.
So your fiance's on there.
Yeah, she's on
presumably many of your relatives.
I don't recognise any of these. They were going
Most
through the
of
names
these
now. I
pictures
don't
are
recognise any of those people. Honestly,
Most of these pictures are of people shooting small animals. You must know them all.
Of course.
I don't know who any of those people are. I promise you.
And does it?
Sam
And
Firth, I know.
Harry, I mean, you're looking
at
at the site now. Does it link? Does it link to things such as bring back fox hunting?
Absolutely.
.com.
Yeah, gas the poor. That sort of
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Sure. Let me just throw this question to the two non-Rufuses here on the mics. Sammy, you're injured, you're hurt, you're hurting. How are you feeling? Is there a Sammy fan site?
No, but I'm all right with that.
You don't mind?
I don't mind, no.
Do you
'cause
feel
I don't
gutted?
I don't want the verbal tirade from you that Rufus just got. I'm happy being unloved. That's
Well,
fine.
obviously much of my anger is directed at the fact that I believe on there they do say, surely it's only a matter of time before he has his own show.
Oh, did they say that?
Well, they insinuate as much, saying that you're a natural for radio, but, and this is, I think I quote, too good looking for radio. Something which naturally stuck in my craw.
Yeah.
Related group, by the way, Henry V.
Brilliant. Okay, well, Harry, just finally your verdict on this. You pretty gutted? You've been a mainstay of this show since before Rufus joined.
Yeah, but I sometimes go out of my way to upset and annoy people, so I wouldn't expect anything like this.
Likewise. Yeah, same as me. You Never Can Tell, Chuck Berry, that song of course made famous by the film Pulp Fiction. I'm quietly obsessed with Chuck Berry. He's of course one of the most depraved men in rock and roll, lest we forget. A man who of course once was found in his car with an underage girl, and his defence was he was hoping to befriend her so she could teach him Spanish, so he could use Spanish in some of his songwriting. Genius. Extraordinary. But of course most famous for his owning a restaurant and including some cameras in the ladies' lavatories. Which, but, I mean,
CCTV.
if you're Chuck Berry, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? And he obviously they got found. I don't exactly specifically know where they were positioned, but naturally he got caught and problems ensued. But it got me thinking. Your favourite rock and roll debauchery? There's been a lot, there's been a lot of some tittle-tattle and hearsay, some of course confirmed, but I thought I'd put that out there to the listeners. Your favourite kind of rock and roll stories that you've heard of debauchery, depravity, things that we can talk about on the air. Not necessarily depravity, maybe just extraordinary rock and roll myths and mythologies and stories, things which have always stuck in your head. Perhaps also finding it difficult to listen to. I can't really listen to Chuck Berry's songs with their kind of innocent, tinkly piano and guitar without thinking of his crazed face, probably just wiring up a camera at 3 a.m. inside a lavatory stall. It just seems particularly strange and perverse. So, 64046, you can get in touch. Stephen.6music@bbc.co.uk. Jude's passing me a note. Let me read it. I know. I'm a complete professional, Jude. I've won multiple awards, none for radio. But nevertheless, I know I've looked ahead to see what we've got, what we're going to do on the show. You can trust me. But since we've been talking, Rufus's fan site has Harry, what fill us in? It's been
It's exploded up to 56 members, and they're all having a chat amongst themselves.
Really?
Which is upsetting, because really they should be listening to the show.
You'd have
paying
thought so.
full attention.
Yeah. Do you feel that you can keep an eye on that, perhaps monitor some of those conversations?
I'm all over it like a rash.
Thanks very much. Also, if you have a MySpace page or a what's this called, Facebook page, that's a kind of there's either a fan site or a fan club, or maybe it's sort of worthwhile, it's charitable, maybe you're a Trekkie, whatever you call. We've already seen that by merely mentioning it on the show, you can double your audience. Let us know, 64846, stephen.6music@bbc.co.uk. This is perfect public service broadcasting. Let us know. We'll see if we can.
At least 35 people listen to this.
Exactly,
show.
as we've proven right here. So we can give you a shout out, and we can see if that makes any impact on your audience. Exciting stuff. So, regular Six Music listeners may be aware that the Electric Proms 2007 was taking place, I think, most of the week. And I think, did it start with Mark Ronson doing his extraordinary performance with lots of great guest appearances? Paul McCartney played, and a number of other people. And we got a couple of live tracks that were recorded as part of this Electric Proms season. And here's one of them, Banquet from Block Party. Come on, Jude, press the buttons, woman.
It's got a quiet start.
Well, that's not good enough. We did live last night at the BBC's Electric Proms, that's Block Party. And if you have digital television, obviously don't do it during the show, but you can press a red button and you can see kind of some of the filmed live performances of Block Party, and I think, who else on the Kaiser Chiefs?
Paul McCartney.
And Paul McCartney, and I actually was lucky enough to go to the Paul McCartney Electric Proms, which has happened, I think, on Thursday. And I was a massive Beatles fan, as everyone was when I was a teenager, and then somehow along the way, the Beatles, I sort of fallen out of love with the Beatles, or maybe they'd fallen out of love with me, who knows. So I was just thinking, so they said, do you want to come along to Paul McCartney? I thought, well, it's not, because I'm trying to tick off seeing all the old rockers before they die. Yeah. And so I've managed to see, obviously, the Stones, and, a lot of great ones. Prince, obviously, recently.
Brian
Wilson I've seen.
Springsteen?
And Springsteen, obviously, he's still a young man. And the only person I haven't seen actually is Neil Young, because his concerts apparently can be very variable, so you're a bit wary of him. Dylan, obviously, and that's my impression of Dylan. Just to give you a flavour of the concert. He's just perverse in concert. He just stands it. I remember he stood at the side of the stage, thus making himself almost invisible to half the audience, which is nice of him. So I went on to McCartney, and I was thinking, started with Magical Mystery Tour. I thought, oh, hang on a minute, wait a minute. Once he got to the track we're going to play in a second, Got to Get You Into My Life, I was choking up. I was thinking, it came flooding back, Suddenly my love for the Beatles suddenly came back. And I remembered, my God, this man's written some amazing music. And I was quite overcome. And I was quite tearing up, singing along. By the time we get to Hey Jude, and he's just singing, just the guys, nah, 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 no, just the girls, nah. Oh, man alive! Oh, I was just swept away. And add to that the fact that afterwards, somehow, a relative of his, former TV impressionist Kate Robbins, was there. She's ready. She's like a cousin or something.
Fantastic.
Right? And she said, oh, come in the VIP section. Went back there, got to meet Macca. Just shook the man's hand. He was looking great on stage. He had a little thin black tie. He had a bit of a Pete Doherty look to him. Was great voice. The band were dynamite. When he came backstage, had a sort of pale blue jacket. I thought, oh, I'm not sure about that, Paul. I was just about to say something. Chris Evans piped up, and so obviously I never got to really express my views on Paul's jacket. It looked like he'd borrowed it off Chris de Burgh, circus of 1985. I thought, that's not right, Paul. But when you meet someone like that, again, you're overwhelmed because you think there's nothing I can possibly say that's going to somehow sort of get. I want to get inside your brain. I want to think about all those great moments, when you're with Lennon and right. But obviously, I just went, enjoyed the concert. That was it, nothing. But anyway, so it was dynamite. It was fantastic, and if you need reminding of how good the band are, here's the Beatles. From the Revolver album, of course, Got to Get You Into My Life by the Beatles. We have to go to the news after that. We will be hearing tunes from the Pigeonhole and talking further about other stuff. Bye. In Spiral Carpets, dragging me down on the Steve Show, BBC6 Music, and welcome along if you've just joined us. And we have been investigating Super Posh Rufus's Facebook page. Can you currently tell me how many people have contributed, who logged on, have joined? Is that how it works? You join?
Yeah. Let me just update it.
Thanks so much. Well, while you're doing that, Harry, I should remind you, the listener, that I don't just have my posse here in the studio for chit-chat reasons. I also have them because they come in, they contribute music to the show. And last week, Rufus's Choice, Delamitri, was controversial in some quarters. I think generally most of us here agreed that we enjoyed it, but, you know, there were some people out there, ooh, Delamitri, you can't do that on Six Music. And we said, no, we can, because we just have. And then they got in touch, and it became a battle of wits and war, and of course we, in the end, are the ones pressing the buttons, so we can play what we want. And it got me thinking, guys. It got me thinking, firstly, obviously, as we've noticed already on Facebook, Rufus has been described as having Catholic tastes, which I've taken to mean conservative, and Delamitri, I guess, is the epitome of that. But, you know, I thought, no. Do you know what? No. Music snobbery. There's no place on the Steve Show for music snobbery. If you want to play Delamitri, if you want to play classic pop, then you should be allowed to do so, all right? So that's why this week, the gang here, I've forced them all to choose favourite pop tunes. Tunes which you would generally think wouldn't have a place on Six Music, but which I say no. Maybe there's a quality built in, some inherent quality that means, yes, they should be heard. And so we'll be hearing from Sammy and Harry a bit later on, but as he was the guy that initiated it last week, Rufus, what have you brought in which you feel that perhaps it's a misunderstood song, perhaps? It's one that you wouldn't expect to hear on Six.
I like the fact that you just said, you know, some people like music, and yes, it should be heard. Because I've brought in the band Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you see?
Now, I'm wary.
Yeah.
I'm wary about
Yeah.
Yes, because they do epitomise, you know, prog rock at its most excessive.
That's right. Prog rock, when it entered its early 80s phase, and people like Trevor Horn got involved, got very interested in using kind of complicated guitar riffs, samples from orchestras, the kind of sound you recognise from Top of the Pops, the same sort of era during the Countdown. And I've chosen probably their biggest chart hit. I think it was #1 in the US, Owner of a Lonely Heart.
Owner of a Lonely Heart. Now, of course, Yes, in their 70s heyday, would often do sort of rock versions of classical tunes. I think, you know, punk often is cited as being the thing which kind of rebelled against prog rock. Particularly, I think, by the point that Rick Wakeman was coming on stage dressed as a wizard. It was getting probably a touch excessive.
I love that. The whole Tales from Topographic Oceans and all that sort of thing. I think
so
when I'm
pompous.
older and have more leisure time, I'll get seriously into the back catalogue of Rick Wakeman.
Is it Yes, or is it Emerson, Lake and Palmer who have an album? I think it's called, I can't remember what it's called. Is it called Tusk?
That was Fleetwood Mac.
Fleetwood Mac. Is there another? There's another. It's anyway. I just remember seeing it in a charity shop once, and on the cover, it's got sort of tanks and sort of various armoured vehicles. But what's this? They've got the tails of an armadillo or the wings of an eagle. It's as though all somehow machinery and the natural world have somehow combined. It was a sobering vision of what? I've no idea. Of someone's, you know, artistic mind. It looked like something drawn by sixth formers, and I think that was what was always great about it.
They're always really bad at self-editing as well. That's what's really good about prog rock, is the albums go on for hours, and there's hundreds of them. There's a good story that I heard Rick Wakeman tell, actually. He played, obviously, some of the venues he plays aren't that huge and massive nowadays, and he was playing quite a small gig, and I think a village hall, and this little old lady came up to him at the end and said, "You're awfully good, you should do an album." And Rickman said, "Well, actually, I've done 106. And she went, "Well, have you sold all of them?"
Lovely, yeah, no. But we should point out that, of course, Owner of a Lonely Heart, I mean, everyone knows the tune, but it's not at them at their most excessive. It's far more poppy and sort of mainstream, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And there's on Wikipedia, there's countless references of you know, people who've covered it. Frank Zappa covered it. It makes appearances in endless TV shows. It's just a really, really good rock song, I think, and I hope people don't object to it too much.
Let's hear it. Yes, Owner of a Lonely Heart, by the choice of Rufus, Super Posh Rufus, on this week's Steve Show, and all of my guests here in the studio are going to be choosing tunes which they feel are perhaps a little misunderstood, pop rock or classic rock anthems which wouldn't normally find a place on Six Music, but which we feel we can breathe new life into. The album I was referring to was actually by Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Someone emailed in. It was called Tarkus, not Tusk, and we managed to find a picture online there of the inlay cover. As I say, it looks like it's been drawn by quite a good sixth former, and it's so pretentious. Rufus, you apparently should be able to take over this programme, according to your Facebook fans. How would you describe some of those images? You're an artist yourself.
Yeah, you're quite right about the kind of the A-level quality of it. There's a picture of what can only be described as a bad caricature of Jack Straw, with a kind of lion's mane rearing back as his own scorpion's tail comes over his head. There's a kind of an enormous pterodactyl that's also a kind of B-52 bomber.
Yeah.
A spewing volcano with spider's legs. It's a terrifying vision of the future.
It is a terrifying... Or is it the past?
Yes.
Who knows? But it's interesting to think that in the 70s those albums did sell by the bucket load. It was when rock was sort of... Seemingly all the rock and roll labels were run by 14-year-olds.
Yeah, well, Talking about Wakeman, Journey to the Centre of the Earth was fantastic. My dad used to play that endlessly, and it did go on endlessly.
I don't think I've ever heard it. Is it a musical adaptation of the book?
Absolutely. It's just wonderful. Maybe I'll play an edited slice one week. It's just superb.
Or not. We'll see how we go.
They play a lot on the Freak Zone.
Right, so yes, the Freak Zone comes on after us, and very much the sort of tunes you may well hear on there. And if you have a favourite tune which you feel that perhaps wouldn't normally find a place on Six Music, but you want to suggest it to us, remind us of some little gem. I was toying with some classic Boo, playing some classic Betty Boo. Maybe another time. I do love the Boo. But 64046 stephen.6music@bbc.co.uk. Your favourite kind of pop tunes that you don't feel should be played on Six Music, but why not? You know, as I say, music snobbery, no place for it on the Steve Show. We'll hear choices from Harry and Sammy a bit later. We're going to delve into the Pigeonhole, though. This is new music that has been sent in to me, and I've been listening through it, wading through it. And we've, I think, played them in the past on the show, and I know it had a mixed reaction from people here, but we'll hear this new single from Spit Disco, I Know Kung Fu. Can I say the name of the band on the radio?
No, I'd rather you do.
Can I blur it into one?
It's Shidisco.
What about Shidisco? Shidisco.
Maybe.
Shidisco. Shidisco. You can't get me on that, can you? Shidisco, the man upstairs. Oh yeah, we're so rock and roll on Six Music, but we can't say the name of hot new band Shidisco in full. That's their tune, I Know Kung Fu, and it is released on the 12th of November as a single. It comes from their album Kingdom of Fear. And Sammy, you, I know, have suffered deeply this week with tooth-related incidents, which I'm no doubt you'll relate to us in due course. But has that sort of taken some of your rage out of your system? I imagine you're very angry towards maybe an anaesthetist. Or a dental surgeon.
I liked her. She made the pain go away. My heart rate's gone up a bit. I think that's the first time I've been excited all week. But I genuinely believe he knows Kung Fu, because that was sung with a lot of conviction. I loved that.
I haven't seen the video, but I'd hope that he is just throwing himself around. Kung Fu style.
I want him to just be...
I've not seen them live, but I suspect they put on a cracking dance punk rock show. Yeah, they are currently about to go on tour, I think stateside, with the Klaxons, who of course provide a very similar sound. But you obviously sometimes go to youthful, trendy nightclubs, being as you are youthful and trendy. Would you dance to it?
Do you know I would?
Thank you. I asked you a very direct question. There was only a yes or no, and you gave me a yes. Rufus, you're on some kind of grouse shooting holiday. You've come back in from the moors. Owned probably by your cousin. Mm-hmm. I'm talking, when I say moors, I mean Scotland. And Rafus McTavish or whatever. I don't know. I've no idea. Rafus McTavish, your blood relative of yours. He says, "Let's pop on some Shidisco. Yeah. Let's have a dance around the lodge. Would you be enjoying it?"
I think it'd be good if we all dressed up in suits of armour that were either side of the enormous fireplace, and just set loads of Irish wolfhounds fighting and tried to fight each other wearing suits of armour.
Right.
That's the video.
And
that's the video.
That's
right
got to be the
video. Yeah, it would be. I thought there was a nice bit in the middle of the song where it was just the drum and bass playing and the guitar stopped, and I imagine that's because the guitarist and the singer were actually having a kung fu fight.
yes. And
then they pick their instruments up again, and 2, 3, and they're back into the song.
Yeah. Do you feel that you would have related to it more if it had been, I know, medieval jousting? would that have been if I know how to fight for a lady's honour in a duel? That would have made more sense to you.
I know gallant balladry. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Harry, you occasionally like to rock out. You know, we know that you're a fan of hot. What are they called?
Hot Snakes.
Hot Snakes and the like. Did that one do it for you?
I enjoyed that a lot. I mean, everyone knows that every pub jukebox should have 2 good songs about kung fu on it, and I'm wondering if that would edge out either Kung Fu Fighting or Kung Fu by Ash, and I'm not sure whether it would. But it was very good. But of course, the problem is if I can't steal music from the boxes upstairs at Six Music, I have to send my mum to buy it for me for Christmas, and I couldn't send my mum to buy that for me for Christmas because she's not going to go into HMV or another record store and say, "Can I have the Shidisco single?" It's just not going to happen.
Sure. So you feel that they're doing themselves out of themselves with that name?
They've stuffed themselves.
All right. Well, here's someone who I suppose this is my contribution in a sense to our pop approach to the show, and I've always been a fan. And this is a new single. As I say, this week on the show we are playing pop tunes, which we feel may find their way onto the Six Music Steve Show playlist. And well, let's hear it.
It's Britney, bitch.
It's the Steve Show, BBC6 Music with me, Stephen Merchant, and we have a slight pop theme to this week's show. We're playing tunes which would not normally find a place on 6 Music, and there's no one who seems more of an antithesis to many of the people we play on this station than Britney Spears, who I've always been quietly a fan of. I've no shame. Actually went to see her live in concert one time. Tell you what, it was far too loud. Oh, it was ear-piercing. Did you go, Jude? Ear-piercingly loud at Wembley it was. I thought all these young kids there, their ears being, bleeding. It was horrible. I had to keep popping out and just having a little quiet moment out in the corridors.
That's why.
I thought they're more rock and roll than oh, come on, Jude, you filthy-minded.
What?
I mean, but I'm hoping that you, the listeners, can't hear her. She doesn't have a microphone, and that's part of the reason why. She was just being filthy off air. But, it seems only appropriate because, of course, Britney there clearly trying to sleaze herself up. And you kind of wonder how she's found time to make a whole new album in between sort of shaving off her hair and having a mental breakdown. Jude, how do you do that? How do you squeeze in time in between?
Have they done it like Tupac?
No, I don't think that. Well, from
just old snippets.
Old snippets, and there are a couple of answer phone messages on that record, which maybe they've just lifted off her answer phone. But anyway, yeah, I've read some glowing reviews of this new album, which says it's kind of that sort of sleazy electro pop. And Rufus, is there a place in your heart for Britney?
I was when I was listing underrated pop songs like Roll With It, Not Roll With It, Roll To Me, Del Amitri song. I said Baby One More Time, I think, was the pop record of the year. And I've been a fan of Toxic and a lot of other Britney stuff, but I found that really anodyne and really dull. And it's a bit of an American malaise, that gimme more, endlessly more. You think it would be much more, can you just let me know when I've had enough? Or
right.
Could someone please, just if I'm boring them, just tap me on the shoulder and I promise I'll stop.
Yeah.
So I just found it really crushingly dull, actually.
In the video, of course, Britney goes into a nightclub, a strip club, in fact, and watches herself stripping. It's all rather odd. Harry, would that be a thrill for you?
Well,
to go into a strip club and watch yourself stripping?
Not particularly. No.
What about if I was stripping?
Perhaps. Yeah. I quite enjoyed that. It was no Toxic, but when she was saying more, they were distorting the vocals, and it just sounded like she was groaning. And my image of the video, I've not seen it, would have been of her in an LA nightclub, the sort that they wouldn't let us into, and of her at the bar. She's had 18 Bacardi Breezes. She wants another one, and she's saying gimme, gimme, but she can't get the word out, and she's vomiting on the bar every time she asks. That's just what it sounded like to me.
I think that was one of the ideas, probably, they threw at them, and then Parlophone or whoever said, you know what?
Yeah.
I think Britney,
they got the storyboard, and then they went,
might be more appropriate. You're young and hip, Sammy. Britney, where does she stand amongst the kids of today? Is she a spent force?
No, well, yes, now she is. I mean, I absolutely used to love her, and one of my prized 18th birthday presents was her best of album, My Prerogative. But there were a couple of fillers on that album. When they bring out a best of and there's 2 new tracks. No, they're not. They're clearly rejects from old albums. Don't lie to us, the consumer. That just sounded like one of those. And I was checking through my MP3 player there to try and see what those tracks were actually called. I've deleted them. I've only got the good songs. I've deleted it. But I can't even remember what the tune was now. That was a bit... I'm worried for the rest of the new album.
Well, I should be keeping an eye on it, because as a champion of new music, that's music from all worlds, and I kind of hope that Britney redeems herself and that she can go on to have a long career, because she's brought us so much pleasure, hasn't she, over the years? A great talent. God bless her. She'll be sorely missed when something inevitably happens that's deeply, deeply tragic. Okay, so we will have one more tune after we've heard this little thingy.
BBC6 Music.
So it's a Steve Show, BBC6 Music, and we have been listening to new music, stuff which has found its way into the pigeonhole. And here's a tune which a few people have pointed in my direction, including The Guardian, which has pointed out that this is currently an unsigned band, although they may be signed by the time we finish playing the track. And you can download it and a number of other tunes from their MySpace page. They are called Black Kids, and this is a cracking little tune. I'm not going to teach your boyfriend how to dance with you. According to The Guardian, they're an unsigned Florida 5-piece who've been causing quite a stir among online tastemakers. That's Black Kids, and you can download a sort of EP of sorts from their MySpace page, myspace.com/blackkidsrock. And there we are, yes. So that's the tune, I'm not going to teach your boyfriend how to dance with you. And as I say, last time anyone checked, they were currently unsigned. Sammy, will they stay unsigned?
Yeah, it was one of those ones that made me start to think about all the Christmas presents I've got to buy and all the knitting I've got to do. Maybe it was one of those ones where maybe if I listen to it a couple more times, it might grow on me, because it sounds like the sort of thing they play at a night I really like in Newcastle. And the songs you hear once, you're like, the next week, like, oh, it's that song. The third week, I really want them to play that song, so I might actually listen to that again.
But do you think that it's the sort of unsigned tinny production values which have put you off? If it had high production values, you would listen again?
For me, it's not all about the production value.
Really?
You've misread me.
I have, clearly.
You have, yeah.
I do apologise. And Rufus, I know you are obsessive about new music. And where are Black Kids going to feature in your mind?
What's concerning me, Steve, at the moment, and we've had this conversation before, is whether or not song titles are iambic pentameters.
I know, it's something which drives the Six Music listener up a wall.
And what's happened with this song is they've blown it by one syllable.
Oh, no,
and that's
really?
what's confusing me, because if it was, I'm going to teach your boyfriend how to dance with you, that would be a pentameter, but I'm not going to teach your boyfriend how to dance with you. That's throwing the whole thing into the pot.
But do you feel that they're deliberately doing that in a kind of maverick rock and roll punk rock way?
I think they probably are. In
Just
the
to
same
screw
way
with you.
Yeah, in the same way that they aren't all Black Kids. That's
Right.
messing with us as well.
Sure.
The lead singer sounded... Well, it didn't sound like there was one lead singer. It sounded like there were about 15 school children who were all the lead singers, and they all sounded a little bit like Robert Smith. Rather bizarre. I don't know if anyone else noticed that. But I thought it was great. I'd like to dance up and down surrounded by kids
15
of all,
school kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
Kids of all
okay.
persuasions, colours, sizes.
Yeah.
And sing it really loudly with them and not look older than them, look the same age as them. I don't
Right,
want to
so
look
you
older
want to be
than them.
15 again?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Or you just want to be dressed in schoolboy outfits?
I do that anyway.
Sure, of course you
Yeah.
do. Harry, is that a fantasy of yours?
Absolutely, I wouldn't be rude enough to deny it. But yeah, that was all right. It sounded like about 8 different Cure songs, and it was good. It was pleasingly shambolic, but it couldn't ever live up to the title, which I actually liked, despite its clear errors.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah.
It just, I can't remember how to say it because I keep thinking it's going to be a certain number of stresses and it isn't.
It's
I'll
only a
stop.
concern that you have as a trained actor. All right, let's have some Supergrass and back shortly. Supergrass, Man-Sized Rooster on the Steve Show, BBC6 Music, and if you've been listening throughout the show, you will know that we have been choosing pop tunes which we feel should perhaps be re-evaluated by the Six Music listener. Sam, it's your choice next, and what have you got?
Well, I'd like to make it publicly known first that I did try and choose something else this week, but it was too Six Music. I wanted to play my favourite song of all time, which is I'm not going to mention.
We'll play it another week.
Oh, that's fine, as long as I can play it sometime. So I've gone for this. Now, I have got a lot of pop, I'll be honest. I'm a bit of a pop freak.
Nothing wrong with that.
But I've chosen this song particularly because I think it's just been so well produced. There's about 16 different producers were involved with this song.
Natch. If it's pop, Natch.
And it was, I don't know, it was a really sexy, great pop song about, I think it was 2002, it was released December 16, 2002, so it's about, I can't do the maths, 5 years ago. My goodness, I'm getting old. And I think
Don't
they're a
rub it
cracking
in, that's absurd.
band.
Yeah. Please, we're getting old.
So this is, for my friend Hannah, Girls Aloud, Sound of the Underground.
Sound of the Underground, Girls Aloud, and it's Sammy's choice on this week's Steve Show. I'm forcing my contributors here to choose pop tunes which they would not otherwise normally hear on Six Music, and then defending them while we await the onslaught of criticism that I have once again brought Six Music into disrepute by trying to have a bit of bloody fun on the radio. We ask you, Sammy, to defend your choice.
I'm going to defend it because the video is really sexy, so boys can look it up on YouTube and get their kicks, and girls can feel sexy dancing to it because it had a very simple dance routine, and it's a very easy song to dance to, and I've proved this at 2 of my birthday parties. It gets everyone up on the floor.
Well, I don't feel you should defend it, but I'm a big Six Music. No, I'm not a big Six Music fan. I'm a big Girls Aloud fan, and it's partly because obviously they've got high quality pop tunes being written for them, and also, of course, they're one of those bands a bit like that where you can see that kind of more extreme sounds. A little whiff of drum and bass there has just been sucked into the mainstream, and it clearly isn't the sound of the underground, but it's more like the sound of someone who's living next door to the underground, and I can hear it through the wall of someone having a wild party. But yeah, I think it's great. And there's many great Six Aloud. What? I'm obsessed with Six Music. I just can't get it out of my head.
It is great.
It is just bloody great. But yeah, no, I'm a champion of Girls Aloud. I think some of the ballads are a bit dreary.
I'd agree with
But,
that. Do you
the
know
pop
what? I
tunes-
think their pop tunes, my God, this might get them a light. I think their upbeat pop tunes are better than the Spice Girls, but the Spice Girls ballads were better than Girls Aloud.
Well-
If you brought them together, I think you could take over the world.
Maybe so, and maybe we should try and do that. That could be a sort of fantastic sort of Christmas show on ITV, hosted by Simon Cowell.
I'd just like to see the fight.
Yeah.
Just put those 10 in a room and let them go at each other.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know why I did that. That's noise. Okay, so well, thank you very much indeed for your choices, and we'll come to Harry's a bit later on in the show. But of course, aside from me and the gang here choosing music, you, the listeners, can also get in touch. And someone who has got in touch and has a musical choice he'd like to point our way is Gareth. Gareth, you on the line?
Certainly am, yes. Hello.
Hello, mate. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm okay, thank you very much for asking. Do you have a problem with pop music, or do you feel that there's a place for everything?
Yeah, no, I'd have to go with there's a place for everything. Everyone's into their own sort of thing. It's not necessarily my cup of tea, but until I sort of, rule the world or have my own radio station, I don't think I can complain.
Well, if you join Spice Girls or Girls Aloud, apparently you can apparently rule the world. We look forward to that enormously. So what is your cup of tea?
It's a bit pretentious, really. No, I'm sort of into a lot of indie sounds. Arcade Fire is probably my compulsion at the moment. Things like that, the National, who are playing here soon. I can't wait. All kinds of good things coming out, I reckon, if you look for it.
Now, I am brilliant at identifying where people are from.
Yes, okay, here we go.
You are from abroad.
Certainly, 100% so far.
Tokyo? No, where are you from?
How did you know?
I know, I'm amazing, aren't I? Where are you from?
I'm from New Zealand
You're
originally.
from New Zealand, okay. And is there good music in New Zealand? Is there a big music scene?
Definitely, yes. It's just getting better and better, in my opinion. And if you are ever feeling like checking it out, I'd go hard, definitely.
Yeah. And I obviously have become a massive fan of Flight of the Conchords. Mm-hmm. You must all be very proud in New Zealand.
I'll tell you what, the xenophobia is rife. But anyway, I think it's a cracking show as well.
Oh, it's fantastic, isn't it? If you've not seen Flight of the Conchords, it's currently, I think, on, is it BBC4 or something? And it's made for HBO, and so the Flight of the Conchords, who did bizarrely have a kind of BBC radio show, are this kind of sort of mock folk duo, and it's a kind of gently surreal programme, and they write just the most fantastic songs. And I'm generally not a fan of the comedy song, but they just have just something about what they do, and they're so charming, and it's such a brilliant programme, and I heartily recommend anyone to check it out. And New Zealanders everywhere should be deeply proud of the show, having given us so much. They can add that to the list. And so you come from New Zealand, but you presumably aren't calling from there now.
No, unfortunately.
Where do you live now?
I'm in East Putney in London.
And what do you do that allows you to remain in the country?
Well, so far not a lot, to be honest. Oh yeah, I know. Don't go calling immigration. No, I've been here for about 3.5, 4 weeks or so. So. Sort of just doing the old temp thing, which does my head in, as I'm sure you can imagine. Yeah. No, well, we need people to do that. So thanks for coming over and sorting that out for us. Yeah, you're welcome. It's
thank you. We've got a lot of call centres. If you are out there in another country and you need to come over, you're looking for work, by all means come. We need people to just do work in call centres or sort of take the rubbish in, stuff like that. Work in pubs. So if you're out there, by all means, welcome. We welcome you all. Thank you very much indeed for coming over, Gareth. We really appreciate it. And what tune have you chosen for us?
I've chosen a song by M. Ward, and it's a cover of David Bowie's Let's Dance, which, it's very, it's a bit, I don't know what that brings to mind, or if you're familiar with his work, but it's...
Well, M. Ward, it comes out of the sort of American alt-country scene, am I right in saying?
Yes, you are, indeed.
And, this sounds like it's going to be right up my street. Alt-country, Bowie, Let's Dance, and a cover version.
That's what I'm hoping.
Let's hear it. M. Ward doing his version of David Bowie's Let's Dance, and it's the choice of Gareth, who has got in touch. And Gareth, thank you very much. Are you still there, man?
I sure am, yes.
And thank you very much indeed, because that is exactly what I look for in a cover version, where it takes a tune which has become over-familiar and reinvests it with some meaning and some emotion. So thank you for recommending that. Tick.
Brilliant, not just saying that to spare my feelings. You sure you liked it?
No, I did. I enjoyed it very much. And we were just saying, actually, that it's quite impressive that you've only been in the country about 4 weeks, and yet you've already managed to get a song on the Steve Show. People queue up for at least 8 weeks to get to get a song on, but you've done great work. So thank you very much indeed. I hope you continue to listen to 6.
Oh, yes, you haven't put me off quite yet, no.
Thank you very much, Excellent. We appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed for getting in touch.
All right, cheers.
Cheers, man. All the best. And so if you want to get in touch, and you can do that very straightforwardly by going to the website and hunting around on there for information. We need to play more live music recorded at the Electric Proms, which you'll hear in 1 second. from their 1996 debut album Beautiful Freak. That's Eels and Novocaine for the Soul on the Steve Show, BBC6 Music, with me, Stephen Merchant, and my cronies. Now we should just take care of a little bit of business. Last week we had novelist Matt Thorne in the studio. He was talking to us about recent Booker Prize nominees, and he assigned homework to us all. We each had to take a book and read it and offer a little book report this week. I'm looking forward to the book reviews. I've been reading Animals People by Indra Sinha. You can see it here. And excellent it is too, as well. And I can give you a full breakdown of that in a moment. But, prior to that, I look forward to... Now, Harry, what was the book that you were recommended?
It was a book... by someone called Anne Enright. I think it actually won the Booker.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't remember the title now.
Sure, what do you make of it?
Well, the thing is, Steve, I work in a bank. I work quite long hours. I've got quite a pressurised job, you see.
Sure, well, you need to unwind with a good book, I'd have thought.
Well, you'd have thought that, but, I can't unwind. I need the numbers spinning around my brain, otherwise the next day I'm useless.
Well, that sounds insane. I mean, what kind of a man can't take a little breather to stimulate the mind in other ways?
What can I say? I'm an animal. I need numbers, and words, you see, don't really do it for me. But, I read a review of the book, and it said it was incredibly depressing and harrowing.
Yeah.
But the review also said it's got the best last sentence of any novel that this reviewer had ever read. So I sent one of my minions out at lunchtime, I can't go out at lunchtime, to take a picture on their phone of the last sentence and text it to me. So I've read the last sentence. Doesn't look that good.
Well, hang on.
I'm guessing the rest of the book wasn't that great.
Let me just rewind for a second, because I'm not sure I'm following everything. Are you telling me you haven't read the book?
I've not read the book.
Right. Okay, you could have come and you could have mentioned that perhaps a bit quicker, instead of offering this lame excuse about that you like numbers or something. Yeah. I mean, we're all busy, we've all got busy lives, but you have made a commitment to this show, and apparently you're not willing to fulfil those commitments.
Yeah.
So that just seems a bit slack.
What have you done this week?
Busy. Yeah. One of the things I've been doing is reading this book, Animals People by Indra Sinha, because that was obviously a key element of the show. But I'm right, if you've not read the book, fine, I'll turn to Sammy, get her views on the book that she's read. What was the book that you were given, Sammy?
I can't remember.
Sorry, what do you mean you can't remember? Because you just look in your bag, you must have the book with you, because you've been reading it presumably on the train on that sort of long journey you get every week from Newcastle. So what have you... What do you make of the book? You can't remember the title, but what did you make of it?
It was really big.
Right.
What happened, Steve, right?
So hang on, let's just cut to the chase. Did you read the book or not?
Right, what happened?
Because let me just point this out, right? I seem to remember that some months ago, right, you were sat up in Newcastle, you'd not done much radio, you'd not really been involved, and then you won a little competition where we chose you, we paid for you to come down to London and here and hang out with the big boys, the big girls of the BBC, all right, in a building which has seen the likes of Terry Wogan, Mr. Christopher Evans, Mr. Jonathan Ross walk through the doors. I believe earlier in the building, Kylie Minogue. Kylie Minogue was here, as was Doctor Who David Tennant. That's what I saw as I came in on the sheet of paper. So that's just some of the big wigs who were here. And yet, amazingly, it seems only a few months later, you cannot even find the time to read the book you have been assigned for the show, which is now making you one of Facebook's contributors. All right, so what's the story?
Right, what happened was, my tooth got ripped out on Monday, so I was convalescing until Wednesday afternoon.
Convalescing sounds like time to read a book.
You'd think. So I went out with my mum on Wednesday. We went to a really big bookstore, and I could only remember the name of the book that I was meant to read, and I picked it up, and it was a beast. It was an absolute beast, and I thought, right, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to read The Gun Thief, because that was a recommended book, and that's fine, that's a book, I'll read the book, I'll still review a book, because I can't get through that between now and Sunday, there's just no way at all.
No, of course not, no.
They didn't have that. I was like, that's fine, it was the best side, it's Copeland, I'll get it at a supermarket tonight. I went to 2 supermarkets, 12% of one of the bookshelves filled with only Jeremy Clarkson, I have to add. It had none of the books on. I couldn't find any of them, so I thought, right, panicking now. Do you need to read something before the weekend? Any of them will do. At least I'll review a book. Went to another bookstore. Nothing. It got to the point where I was getting on the train this morning, went to the bookstore in the station, in Central Station, a famous bookstore, and they didn't have a single one of the books. None of the 4. And not even Copeland.
I'll be honest with you, I'm searching around in that for an excuse. And so far I haven't seen one. Apparently you cannot get any books in the north. That's what I seem to have found.
Lot,
and apparently also not in London, is what I've heard from that. Frankly, it's a shambles. It's a shambles. What happened with your tooth? That was making it so agonised. That's horrible. Why don't bring it? What happened then? How did it go, the tooth business?
I was doing a medical trial, so I think I was actually given the drug because it was a double blind. So I didn't know whether I was getting the drug or the placebo. And I went a little bit spacey for a while, to the point where when they were starting to do the stuff on my mouth, I was laughing. So I think that was actually quite good.
Right.
But then it all got a bit scary, and I asked permission to cry. And then as soon...
I think you're just allowed, aren't you? I don't know.
think so. But because I was lying on my back, I had tears in my ears. And I couldn't...
Tears
I
in
was
your
thinking of a
ears?
Tears for Fears song because there were tears in my ears. And it all got dead confusing in my mind to the point where when she took the tooth out, I immediately went into shock. So it wasn't a great Monday. So I was like shaking and crying. And the dental nurse was going, if Ewan McGregor was here, you wouldn't be crying. And I'm thinking, that's so random. And
If
it was
Ewan
just really
McGregor
odd.
wasn't here?
If Ewan McGregor was here, you wouldn't be crying.
Is that the only sort of young person film star that she's heard of?
I don't know. I was just watching. She kept coming out with really odd stuff. But anyway, so that was a bit scary. And then I kept spitting blood into a carrier bag for like the best part of 2 days.
Yeah.
My pillows are wrecked. It wasn't great. I couldn't have read a book. I was feeling sorry for myself, sucking powdered potato off a spoon.
Yeah. I mean, it's... I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of questions now floating around in my head, a lot of thoughts. You know, are you coming back next week? being the chief one.
You should blame my mum because she was sent out to get said book on Friday, and she sent me a text
well,
message saying,
your mother didn't volunteer to be on the radio, did she? As far as I
Love
can
you,
recall.
Mum.
So hang on, Harry's let us down. He's been a school friend for years. He knows, he's been here, but he's let me down. Sammy, she won a competition. She's just lucky to even be in London, but she's let me down. Super Posh Rufus, you've got a fan site. Have you let me down, mate?
Steve, what do you think, mate?
Of course you bloody haven't, mate. I can see the book right there. A round of applause for them. Come on. Listen, we'll play a tune. We're going to come back with your book review. And do you know what? As a little reward, I'm going to allow you to plug your current TV show.
Thanks,
all
mate.
right?
It's Harry's choice.
Oh, God. Well, do you know what? Quickly, because no one's interested in you anymore, Har.
Well, I'd already doubled my workload for the week, so I'd already picked an obscure indie nonsense track, and then I had to pick another pop track, which I heard first when I was 12 years old when it came out, and I loved it, and I never bought it, and then for years I couldn't find it anywhere, and I went to a record fair, and I bought 3 copies of it once, because I really love it, and it's one of my favourite songs, and it's by George Harrison. Well, this version is Got My Mind Set on You.
Reading a review of the recent Eric Clapton autobiography, and of course Clapton famously worked hard to steal away George Harrison's wife in the early 70s, and I currently feel like I know how George Harrison must have felt. Betrayed, let down, disappointed by a person he thought was a friend.
Yeah.
I feel a bit like the American people when Richard Nixon had been involved in Watergate. Again, betrayed, let down. I feel like Carl Barrett when he found Pete Doherty nicking his guitars or whatever in his house. Again, a friend has betrayed and let me down. Do you know why? Because I'm looking at you, Harry, I'm looking at you, Sammy, and I'm seeing just darkness behind your eyes.
Steve, the BBC wouldn't have paid for the books. We wouldn't have been paid by the hour for reading the books. You know, we're busy people.
Well, yeah, let me see. There's one person in the room who seems to have found the time, and it's Rufus. Little round of applause again. This is the reason he has his own fan page.
He's an actor, he doesn't do anything.
This
Of
is
course
the
he can
reason
read
he has a
books.
fan page. What is the book, Rufus, that you... I mean, sorry, guy, I don't want to put you on the spot, mate, but, I mean, what do you currently make of these two? What's your opinion of them? Colleagues, friends, colleagues.
Well, yeah. Colleagues.
Professionals? Would you say professionals?
Colleagues are people who work at
Thank you
in
very
the same
much.
place that you do.
Hey, can we have
You have
a...
a job, Rufus.
Can we have a high five?
Do I have it? Thank...
Oh, right over
I
my
have
head.
a
That,
job.
that makes
The
me
two
feel low.
slackers high five. You know, let's chat about what was on Jeremy Kyle this week, which you're probably sat around watching in your pants.
Yeah. Do you know what? You're like the drummer and the bassist
Yeah.
in a given band. You're
Yeah.
contributing nothing, but you want half the cash. Oh,
Can I have half the
it's
cash?
like Rourke and Joyce.
I thought, give me an eighth of the cash and I'll read every book that's ever been written.
Ooh, hang on. Ooh, look at that. Now the truth's coming out. Interesting.
The book is Ian McEwan's On Chesil Beach.
Right.
You've got 2 options. The listeners have 2 options. But Steve, I'm going to leave it to you. You get the Radio 4 bit where I read out the review that I've written, or I get to talk through the review in a chatty way, and you get to ask questions during it.
I'm quite intrigued to hear what you've written, because I love the fact you've actually typed something out.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is magnificent. There you are. That's actual homework.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
page of A4. Well, time's against us, so maybe
Maybe
rattle
Sammy
through
and
it.
Harry could read it out. I don't know.
No. You've done the work, man. You should take the glory.
No, I'm embarrassed to read it out, and I'm going to paraphrase it.
You sure? I really would like to hear it read out.
Really?
As
Yeah.
Bob Dylan.
Well, paragraph 1 is Bob. Paragraph 2, Nelson Mandela.
Definitely. I
No,
wouldn't do
just read it out in your best voice, your best
'cause
posh
I'm
voice.
now embarrassed that I've announced it. McEwen, I'm too embarrassed. McEwen is a master of the closely observed moment. That's how it begins.
That's magnificent. It starts so beautifully.
Yeah,
It can only get better.
From the events of one evening or a day, he can construct a narrative which shows exactly the situation as it is, give the reasons for it happening with a series of flashbacks, and show the consequences.
Listen, mate, this is dynamite. But what I'm thinking is, because time's against us, you should offer us it in paraphrased version.
Yeah.
We can pop this on the web so people can read it
Nice idea.
at their own leisure.
That is a nice
Perhaps you could illustrate it.
It's what I'm going to skip to my conclusion. It will take no more than a day to read this book maximum, because it's only about 150 pages long and it's big writing. I'd really, really recommend people read this book because it puts the 1960s in the context of the 20th century very deliberately. It's about a young couple on their wedding night, and they've got the kind of sexual mores of their parents. They don't know anything about sex, and it's their wedding night, and they're in bed, and it's terrifying and very frightening. But it's the same era of the Beatles and the Stones and kind of political consciousness and student rebellion and everything else. So it's about these two young people experiencing the kind of the terror of that moment and the tragic misunderstanding of what happens on their wedding night. So in fact, there's no need to read the review. That's what you should worry about. The book is wonderful and beautifully written.
Do you know what? Right now, I could kiss that man. Do you know why? Because he's done his job, right? He has come on this radio programme prepared. He has offered a wonderful... He's already made this potentially award-winning, single-handedly. Plus, he's a good-looking fella. All reasons why Sammy and Harry should now kiss him.
Harry, do you want to get one so you can get
Do I have to?
There you are.
Will we be forgiven?
Yes, you will be forgiven for this.
I'm not going to kiss him.
Harry, kiss him. We're going to be forgiven.
Oh,
That's nice.
that is going to be beautiful on the webcam. Now then, on the lips. No, okay, right, no, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And consequently, you get to, as I say, plug your TV show.
Ladies and gentlemen, The Memoirs of Fanny Hill, written by John Cleland, adapted by Andrew Davies. Not quite award-winning, but probably future award-winning. It's on BBC4 at 9 p.m. on Monday night, and stars Rufus as a stammering, scenery-chewing Mr. Norbert.
So it's not been on yet. Have I missed your performance yet?
No.
No, I haven't. So it's coming up this week.
Part 1 was on last Monday, Part 2, the concluding part, is on tomorrow night.
I'm looking forward to this enormously. Okay, this guy's going to come in and play for us next week. It's Johnny Flynn, his tune called The Box. That's Johnny Flynn, and he'll be here on the Steve Show next week, playing live for us in the studio. Okay, that's pretty much it. I should just let you know my review of Indra Sinner's Animals People. I'll be honest with you, I've only read 11 pages. I've been busy. I've been busy. I've got other stuff to do.
Sit on Rufus's face.
Oh, okay. So we wanted to quickly get a final tally. How many people have joined Rufus's Facebook fan page since the beginning of the show?
It's up to 81 now,
Oh,
Steve. They've
that's
been
very
chatting
good.
away all day. There's 51 wall posts, but ominously for Rufus, the very last post says, right, that's it. Who's doing the Harry group? I will if no one else is up for it. So next week could be a little bit of a challenge.
Interesting. That's very, very exciting indeed. Yeah, let's hope they're not book lovers, though, because they will be sorely disappointed.
I think they're all students, so they're not.
Almost certainly. They're the only ones who've got time to do such things. The rest of us busy with stuff. I was putting up some shelving, bought it at IKEA. It was half term. Murder down there. Absolute murder. I don't know why I went down there. It was
Do you have
crazy.
a hot dog?
Yeah, I did actually. Thanks very much for asking. All right, listen, we have to go. I will leave you with Big Star and 13, and we will be back next week with, as I say, live music and other chit-chat. Are you all back next week?
Yeah.
Whee! A final round of applause.